That's for your strike vote this Sunday. We'd appreciate it if you came over.
Once every 3 years, Canada's auto workers send their union representatives to Toronto to negotiate a new contract with the General Motors Corporation. As the Canadian section of the United Auto Workers Union is setting up offices in the Royal York Hotel, no one expects the negotiations to result in anything extraordinary. But before the 1984 talks are over, one of North America's most powerful industrial unions will have been shaken to its very foundation.
We were lucky we got out there on the Canadian one.
At the center of the talks is Robert White, 49-year-old director of the union's Canadian section. In White's inner circle are his two administrative assistants, Buzz Hargrove and Bob Nickerson.
What problem, where they eventually end up.
And his chief economist, Sam Gindon, the architect of White's policies.
Not a job security plan.
UAW.
And across the border from them, on the other end of a telephone line, Union President Owen Bieber.
I came back from the officers' meeting. I told the guys we have the flexibility. I pushed it past the council. I'm pushing the deadline past the ratification of GM. Now, I mean, I went through this with Chrysler, and the goddamn plants went nuts on this last time. And, you know, these guys...
White has a reputation as a maverick inside the union. As Canadian director, White still has to get authorization from the international UAW president in Detroit before he can finalize his strike deadline. It irritates the independent-minded White.
I can't do that, Owen. I mean, I got two committees over here. I've got national agreements. We've been sitting waiting. Well, I can't... It's just going to cause all kinds of hell over here because it's taken so long. I mean, it's going to make it tight, but I'll do it. I'll do it on the 17th. Okay? Bye-bye. Man, try to push me off to that 22nd.
Oh, Christ, I'm crazy. Can't do it. Okay?
Yeah, 17th.
We go tomorrow?
Go tomorrow.
Union boss Owen Bieber has given the authorization. Tomorrow, White will announce October 17th as the strike deadline. White's relations with the International Union have been strained ever since he became Canadian director in 1978. He's a man who likes to make his own decisions, and he chafes whenever the Americans interfere.
Bob, Owen wants you to call him right back.
Go get him. Oh, what's it what now? Probably wants me to hold the announcement.
Owen, just a minute.
Hi. Yes. Yeah, probably be about noon tomorrow. Yep. Bye-bye. Yeah, it's just he wants to know my time so he notifies the board members. That's fair. I don't have any problem with that. I mean, I understand Owen's position. He's...
Privately, White has been anxious about the upcoming talks.
Complicated with having to deal with...
But after weeks of sitting around waiting, White is relieved to be getting on with it.
I'm going to Ottawa Saturday for the NDP meeting. Sunday I'm going to run in the Celebrity Chase for Charity. Monday we're going to go to work. We're going to finally get our hands on the steering wheel. Our foot on the gas and get the money in the tank.
In Canadian auto towns like Oshawa, Ontario, Bob White has become something of a hero. At a time when organized labor everywhere is under attack, White has steadfastly refused to make concessions. When he asks his members' support to call a strike if he has to, the outcome is more or less inevitable. Still, someone in Phil Bennett's position is bound to worry.
I'm like a pregnant father.
Bennett is the political boss of Oshawa, home of the UAW's largest and most fractious local. He is also chairman of the union's Master Negotiating Committee.
94.3% in favor of strike.
The need for collective bargaining originates in places like GM's South Plant in Oshawa, where for generations, workers and managers have perceived each other as enemies.
It's not one big happy family like you would like to think it is, no. Well, I would say it's kind of that way, yes. Worker versus the company, worker versus the foreman. I would think so.
Hello, Mel. Could you get a hold of Tommy? We're out of about 4 valances down on the line.
In one section of the South Plant assembly line, GM management is embodied by foreman Fred Morris, a hard-nosed manager of the old school.
I can't find him right now.
Confrontations erupt almost every day on Morris's line. Each one heightens the barrier between the two sides.
We had no fights for a while, it's okay though. Yeah.
Danny Johnson is an amateur weightlifter who assembles cars at the back of the line. He and Morris have been at odds for months. Now, the foreman wants to move him. Danny doesn't want to go.
In the contract, it states any man coming off of, well, let me see here. I believe it's medical reasons, personal reasons, etc. Page 149, paragraph 45. Man is entitled to his job when he returns. And Fred tried to give me another job. What? So I'm up by the office so you keep an eye on me. We don't see eye to eye.
One time we used to be able to take the guy if he was having troubles like that, or we figured he was giving us a hard time. We could maybe put him on a job that wasn't so nice, and maybe they get the message that, you know, that's kind of the old-fashioned way. It would always work. Can't do that anymore. The rules changed enough that we can't do that.
He wants to keep an eye on me up front. Down here, this is where I like to be, down here with the guys. Up there, I'm right in front of his office.
Complex work rules may mean that Morris can no longer order Johnson to move. But Morris has other ways of exerting his authority.
I'm more or less here to...
Brian Blakeney is the group leader.
To answer...
Although he's a union member, he works for Morris.
To their needs, eh? Since they're tied to the line, and they can't leave the line, so they need somebody to fetch things for them, get things for them, to look after them. More or less, just like a babysitter would do, to watch over them.
One of Blakeney's duties is to come to the aid of workers who need to urinate. When a man needs to be relieved, he rings a bell, and Blakeney comes running to replace him. Usually. Danny has been ringing the bell, but no one has answered.
That's 2 men go to the washroom, no questions asked, right? Obviously must be a change in policy here. All right. Good for one, but not the others.
Bickering about when you can and cannot go to the bathroom may seem absurd, but it demonstrates how rigidly controlled men's lives are working the line.
Want to put another call in for Dan Johnson?
Within minutes, the district committee man arrives to take Danny's grievance.
I can't work under like a prisoner in a jail. not giving him the slightest edge. I want to fight this on his grounds by the book.
The nature of the assembly line virtually dictates that workers view management as their adversaries. At the bargaining table, Bob White fights for increased benefits. On the shop floor, the committee man sees to it those benefits are protected. With every passing year, the conflict thus becomes more entrenched.
So what was happening over Bash?
Within a few days, there are signs of rebellion on the line. Siding with Danny, the men start ringing their bells. Some even leave the line.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 first aids. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 others. That's getting pretty heavy.
And 4
all in around the same time, just before dinner there.
Yeah.
A whole bunch of them wanted to go. Well, you can't do all that. See? But that's not normal. Anyway. Is that ours up?
Yeah.
Well, I better see what it is, I guess.
You ring? Who rang the buzzer? Who rang the buzzer?
With things heating up in the plant, Union Committee man Jeff Lott arrives at Fred Morris's office.
You know it.
Leave the group, Jeff.
That's
Not
good.
putting up with you
I'll
anymore.
leave when I'm ready. But 45 minutes, the guy doesn't have to stand.
Leave, Jeff.
No guy has to stand down there 45
Leave.
fucking minutes to go
Leave.
to washing.
Leave. You caused it.
You caused it because I told you you need another fucking
Mark,
group leader in this group.
Are you going to leave?
And you're the one that was opposed
I'm
to it.
asking you to leave. You going to
You're
leave?
the one that no. You're the one that was fucking opposed to it. I'm not leaving until I find out what the hell you're going to do about the problem.
You go down to my office for a minute.
This isn't one. This has been 5 guys in a week.
Right.
Ignoring the committee man, Morris waits for his superior to arrive.
I can take you down and show you 4 guys that have got to wait 45 minutes to go to the can. There's one fellow right over there that has never walked off his job. Last week, he put in a call for relief, waited 45 minutes, went upstairs to the can, came back, and Fred goes over and gives him hell for walking off the job. I had another fellow at the back that had to wait 45 minutes.
I'll talk to Freddie, and I'll talk to the relief man, or the group leader, but that's about all I can do.
Conflicts like these have helped put the North American auto industry in crisis. At GM, management believes that it's time for a change.
He's got to wait. There's another fellow right over there. You haven't had any problems with him.
Ever worried about losing money and markets, they have decided that 1984 is the year to convince workers that their well-being and the company's well-being are one and the same. After years of distrust, workers are skeptical, wary. Across the Detroit River at GM World Headquarters, company chairman Roger Smith is determined to use the upcoming negotiations to radically alter labor management relations at GM.
I think it makes the jobs more interesting. It makes, you know, when you make a contribution to anything, you feel better about it, I think.
There, put it on there, didn't it?
One of Smith's priorities is a profit-sharing wage scheme that is intended to force workers to share economic risks with management. In good times, workers get generous bonuses. In bad times, their wages shrink. August 29th, Dearborn, Michigan. Bob White attends a meeting of the UAW's officers to examine the details of a new American contract, which the union and the company are close to signing.
All right.
Good, Joe.
Robert, good
How are
to
you?
see you.
Good to see you.
Welcome to the United States.
Thank you. Welcome to the land where there's no money, right, according to the corporation?
What he sees, he doesn't like. The new American contract signals the end of guaranteed annual hourly wage increases.
Problem I see is the whole direction that we're putting, not the amounts. I think it's just the direction the corporation wants to take. And I think it's trying to set a stage for the future.
Union President Owen Bieber is a man with a problem. Almost 100,000 of his members are still on layoff. American jobs continue to be exported overseas. GM is saying American labor is just too expensive. Under the circumstances, Bieber finds it hard to argue. In an historic turnaround, he agrees to GM's profit-sharing scheme, effectively ending the guaranteed hourly wage increases that have been a part of the union's tradition for more than 30 years. Returning to the Royal York to meet with his inner circle, White spells out how the new American contract will affect the Canadian talks.
I mean, you look at the direction this takes, the no increases in the second and third year. To say we would have a problem, I think, will be a slight understatement.
In the U.S., Bieber has sacrificed hourly wage increases for guaranteed job security. It's a trade-off the Canadians don't feel compelled to accept.
They've had a lot of guys that have been out of work for a lot longer than our guys have been out of work, and that makes an altogether different thing.
It's a very important principle for them.
Canadian auto workers are fully employed, so the union leadership sees no reason to abandon traditional wage increases.
I was just looking at this in terms of some straight numbers.
But keeping those increases will not only pit them against General Motors, it'll pit them against the union leadership in the U.S. as well.
No question, the money's a problem for us. There isn't any question. I mean, this is not ratifiable.
We've got a hard fight ahead of us.
If the 1984 talks turn into a brawl, Bob White will be exchanging blows with Rod Andrew, chief negotiator for GM Canada. Born in Dayton, Ohio, Andrew was a former professional baseball player. Like Bob White, he is also the son of working people. White respects Rod Andrew. He believes that Andrew, unlike most American executives, understands Canadian realities.
How are you?
In fact, White takes pleasure in having taught Andrew about some of those realities.
$25. Less than what it cost you for dinner last night, right? You are cheaper than I thought you were then.
All right.
With a revolutionary new U.S. contract almost settled in Detroit, serious negotiations get underway in Toronto. Straight off, White warns Andrew not to bring the American deal to Canada.
I want to tell you the direction of that proposal in terms of the areas it's going in is completely opposite to where we intend to go in Canada. If we start to see that kind of an indication across this table that that's the direction that GM of Canada wants to go, then I can tell you we are headed for a confrontation.
We've made money, there's no question about it, and I can understand your apprehension about what you saw and what you saw come across the table in the United States, but there is also no question in my mind that we're not at a position where we're so stable that we can return to the things that we've done in the past. Because there is strict competition still out there. We're not on our own. We're not as viable as everybody thinks we are. And what we're doing is
GM, successful at getting what it wanted in the U.S., is determined to do the same in Canada. Although his company has recovered financially, Rod Andrew will attempt to convince the Canadians that GM's profitability is fragile.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, good, thanks. And Bill, you'll call me after the meeting so we can set up some firm schedules.
Bob White and the auto workers he represents will be a hard sell. Since its inception in 1936, the UAW has negotiated contracts which have steadily transformed its membership into an industrial elite. Auto workers believe that high pay is their just reward for the tedium of working on the line, and they protect their rights zealously. With a strike looming, a routine line speed-up immediately excites resistance.
Kevin, try this one, eh? What do you mean, no?
I don't know if you heard too well. I want a committee man here and I want a timer here knowing I'm being timed if I'm going to do that.
Look, I'm asking you to do that job.
Oh, why? I can only have to do it.
Brian, do that job there, and I want him in the office, okay? You better get down to the office and step away, Kevin. You're refusing to follow my instructions?
No, that's not it.
Well, then you start doing the job I'm asking you to do.
That's not it at all, Freddie.
Go down to the office and or the lunch area.
I told you that yesterday when you came down. I said,
I don't care what you're telling me. Go down.
Of course, you never care anyway.
Go down to the lunch area and I'll get your committee man.
You don't listen to
all right?
Anyway.
Go ahead.
Back at the Royal York, lack of progress at the talks is making Bob White apprehensive. 2 weeks ago, he warned Rod Andrew not to bring the U.S. deal to Canada. The GM negotiator has remained evasive about the company's intentions ever since. Now, with only a week before the strike deadline, Andrew finally calls White up to his room to show him the company's first offer.
Hello. How are you? Good to see you. This is what we're going to show you today across the table. It contains basically every aspect of the things that you're going to...
As White scans the document with Andrew, the union leader's worst fears crystallize.
30 and out.
GM is defying him.
Come together. The rest of the committee
The
will
corporation
get the
intends to
overview of
impose a
what
variation of the U.S.
we'll get a
contract
more
on the
detailed
Canadians.
sheet so you can review it. I'll say a few words about it.
It's like you're tracking the U.S. monetary thing, eh?
It's tracking the U.S. monetary thing.
Oh, got some problems, but okay.
Okay.
Yep. See you down there.
All right. See you.
White leaves Andrew's room stunned. It has now become clear to him that just to win traditional wage increases for his membership will require a bitter struggle.
I told Mr. Andrew across the bargaining table this morning, and I'll repeat now, unless there's a fundamental change in direction, it will be almost impossible to avoid a strike at General Motors on October 17th.
Not unexpectedly, the union's negotiating committee had rejected the company's offer almost as quickly as it was tabled.
Yeah.
Give me a call at 1110. Let me know.
All of these men are tough shop floor politicians, elected directly by the membership. Their careers are on the line with this contract. If the rank and file don't like what the committee brings back, all of these men, including Chairman Phil Bennett, could be back on the line driving boats after the next election.
Glad I called you.
Yeah. I got the impression the other day when we met with Andrews, when he talked about people's expectations.
John Clout is the chairman of the St. Catharines plant. Intelligent, not given to compromise, Clout provides White with his main opposition on the committee.
Management's attitude in the plant is that, you know, there's a strike. Do you get that reading from him that that we're into a strike situation?
Last night was the first time he said to me that we can't do this before Wednesday, that we're into a strike. Now, I mean, I'm going to level with you guys. He looked me right in the eye and said, you better fucking understand, my friend. If we go in the ditch, you ain't fucking around with Chrysler. And if we get into a strike, it's going to cost you a lot of fucking jobs in this country.
If they're reading that it's going to take a short strike in order to sell whatever they want to sell, I'm going to tell you that they're misreading the membership bad on that. Very bad.
The committee knows that because GM has just reported the biggest profits in its history, workers expect a big pay increase to come out of these talks.
Not enough. You're going to have to give me a raise. You're going to have to go after $4.
Rumors are circulating about the first offer. The men don't like what they hear. They don't want profit sharing or bonuses. Unlike their American brothers, they want an hourly wage increase just like they've always had.
I like the money up front. I like to see the money. At least you know what you're getting anyway. Profit sharing, you wouldn't know what you're getting at the end of the year. At least this way, if we're getting 40 cents an hour, we know at the end of the year we've got 40 cents an hour.
Men like Al Westlack feel that GM's bonus plan will mean they have to make more of the same concessions they made in 1982 in an effort to save jobs. American workers made the bulk of those concessions, but it didn't help them. Though GM is now enjoying record profits, many of the Americans are still on layoff.
We give them concessions in the last contract to save what we got today. This contract, they want us to give some more to save what we got. Just look at how many American fellas are out of a job today. They still got an awful lot on layoff. Didn't save their jobs, not bringing them back to work.
Never will either.
In the end, the Canadian workers are opposed to sacrificing traditional wage increases in exchange for a bonus scheme, because it would make them feel dependent on the company's good intentions.
How far can you trust GM?
2 days before the strike deadline, GM is still pressing a variation of the American deal. If the company doesn't alter its position in 48 hours, the UAW will hit the picket lines.
If Canadian workers at General Motors don't have a new contract on Wednesday, they'll go on
The impact of a strike will be felt across the country, and Bob White knows it.
For the Canadian economy, some experts say an auto strike is like pulling a linchpin from the economic recovery. For the last 2 years, the auto industry has given the economy a real boost. General Motors, for example, has never been more profitable. Labor costs here are cheaper than on American assembly lines. So the workers argue the company can afford to give them some breaks and a uniquely Canadian deal.
With pressure on the outside mounting, White comes under attack from within. A Canadian strike will begin closing U.S. plants within a few days. Concerned, Union President Owen Bieber calls, demanding to know from White why the talks are deadlocked.
Well, I'm not going to a fucking agreement with this membership I know is absolutely not ratifiable. I'm not going to tear the union apart over here, my friend. I know where I'm going. I'm a responsible bargainer, and I'm going to try and get this thing done by Wednesday. And if I can't, I'm going to stay till I do it, but I think I know my way around here. Yes, I understand that. Last thing I want to do is put this thing in the ditch and start affecting the income of the U.S. workers. I can assure you of that. Okay. Take care. Oh, we're getting started.
No property. Trying.
Trying.
Well, you give him a good message.
There's a little help, does he?
He's getting more antsy than Rod Andrew. Well, I mean, his point is, he says, I don't, you know, I got to look at the total union. This thing goes in the ditch and what it does to everybody. So I understand that.
What he's saying is he may not allow us to strike.
Well,
he wouldn't give us strike benefit.
You know, that's the inference, but I won't lose 1 second of sleep over that because I know come Wednesday noon we are on the march.
But White fully understands the power Bieber has over him. As president, he could revoke the Canadians' right to strike and block their access to the union's $500 million strike fund.
If that happens, we got to talk about how things are done here.
Pressure on White continues to build. Rod Andrew reminds him that a Canadian strike will quickly affect the entire North American auto industry.
The other interesting thing he told me this morning is that about 3 days into our strike, we'll start to seriously affect some of the U.S. Ford operations. Ford. So this thing's getting a little more... Before we get through, we'll be into Bulgaria, Ethiopia. I was in that NASCAR car plant in Egypt. If we can shut that down, it will be a miracle, because it don't work anyway. And... I mean, when they start shutting down the U.S. operations, there's going to be a lot of people calling.
Bob, an urgent call from Helen.
That's what I said, there'd be a lot of people calling, right? You think I don't know what I'm talking about, eh? You guys will believe me one of these days. Hi.
Bob, Rod Andrew just called. There's a wildcat at the Oshawa truck plant.
Okay. Got a work stoppage at the truck plant, so we got to get them back to work.
The wildcat causes White's worst fears to surface. It could incite all of GM's Canadian workers to walk off the job early. If White is heading for a confrontation with Owen Bieber, it's imperative that he maintain firm control of the plants.
You're not going to listen to this guy that's there.
What shift is on? Who's the committeeman?
Bennett moves to restore union discipline in Oshawa, 35 miles away.
The assholes get hold of it, now it'll spread like wildfire. You know? Let me just say a couple of things about this because, you know, I'm not
going to share with you guys all the phone calls I have, except to say that we're in some tough times now. We ought not to misunderstand what's happening. I got the authorization to strike with a deadline of Wednesday at noon. And if somebody fucks that up and these plants go before Wednesday noon, you're exactly playing the fucking game some people want to play. I don't have to draw any more drawings on the blackboard than that. If you think the authorization won't be withdrawn for a legal strike, if these plants start going down today, that's out of my hands.
Almost unwittingly, White has become a victim of circumstances beyond his control. GM is intransigent. The negotiations are deadlocked. In the wings, Owen Bieber threatens to intervene. And now the plants are becoming restive.
What are we, 48 hours?
48 hours from now, Bob will be out.
Phone.
Somebody.
Phone.
The Oshawa Wildcat has been averted. But workers in the plant are edgy, anticipating the first strike against GM since 1970. In the days before the deadline, the mood on Fred Morris's line is more mutinous than usual.
Send him down. You think he can do a better job?
Same as these brackets. You don't get anything done about them either, do you?
Right there.
These brackets here. And these here. I told you about that in the beginning of the night. What'd you do about it?
Keep them down on them and fix the gun up.
And how come I'm still getting them then?
The disorder angers Al Westlake. As a repairman on Morris's line, it's Al's job to fix other people's mistakes. And the mistakes are increasing.
It's getting ridiculous.
It does get ridiculous.
Yeah, we'll get it fixed.
Let me know when you're getting them and I'll see what I can do. But you tell him he should be fixing it, eh?
Same old problem. Leave it with me, eh? Just like the guy over there, you cross your arms and leave it with me.
He's still sitting in the same position.
The strike is now 24 hours away. Neither General Motors nor Bob White have altered their positions. Again, Owen Bieber calls from Detroit, demanding to know why.
Well, as of now, we're going to be out on strike over AIFs and COLA travel and COLA diversion and time off at job, local agreements and working conditions. That's about the list as of now.
Bieber's call irritates White. He feels both his ability and his right to conduct a separate Canadian negotiation are being called into question.
Well, I mean, but that's the fundamental issues that we're going to have to come to grips with, because I can't fucking keep doing this every 2 or 3 years. I'm just not going to do it. Arguing with my own goddamn people about putting together a settlement. I understand that. I understand that. I will. Okay. He's going to put this out to the officers today.
This afternoon, Bieber will call a meeting of the union's executive to discuss whether the Canadian strike authorization will be revoked. In his place, White has sent his Quebec lieutenant, Claude Ducharme, to attend Bieber's meeting. 10 hours later, Ducharme returns from Detroit with unsettling news. White has no allies among his fellow officers.
Cass Stevenson said that you really deceive him, because apparently you were strong on pattern negotiation, and now you're running away of that. Eflin said, well, it's all one union, and it's about time that some people learn about it.
Was there any discussion at the board?
No one on the union's executive is prepared to argue on Bob White's behalf. It now appears likely that his authorization to strike will be revoked. Tomorrow morning, the executive will take a final decision.
Board meeting, you just said we might have to take a decision tomorrow.
The board will be all in there for the council.
Because they are there for yeah.
Well, let them take it. Let him take it. The strike's on noon tomorrow.
He's gonna do it to us before we get out.
Can't do it before we get out.
What do you say? You gonna deal with that tomorrow morning?
He said he may have to.
Huh? I was going to call Bob. He's gonna call Bob? Yeah. I was saying, he's gonna do it before we go out, my friends. I'm trying to tell you, he's gonna call him and do it. He say, I'm going to board, that's he's gonna tell him.
So what do we do?
We gotta go ahead.
Oh yeah, we gotta go on strike. No matter what he does.
Rod Andrew, leaving it to the last possible moment, tables GM's final offer before the deadline. The media, anticipating the collapse of negotiations, congregate outside the caucus room.
Mr. Andrew, tell us what you had to say to these gentlemen today.
I gotta get the union response, thank you.
Did you give them a new offer?
Yes, I did.
What about the chances of averting a strike at noon?
I think that's almost impossible. Thanks.
Thank you.
John Sinclair.
The committee rejects Andrew's offer unanimously, labeling it a carbon copy of the first.
And I would never, never stand up and recommend that bag of shit to my membership in Local 222.
It has nothing to do with the reality of what we proposed. That's all I have to say on it. Anything else is a waste.
It just seems to me that they don't want to settle the son of a bitch either. So I'm dead opposed to it.
With a strike now seemingly inevitable, White informs the committee that there is a threat of U.S. intervention.
There has been no decision taken. The board was advised this afternoon that depending on the issues, they may have to make a decision tomorrow about whether or not to authorize a strike in Canada. I just want to make it absolutely clear that these fucking plants are going down tomorrow at 12 noon.
But White is wrong. 16 hours before the deadline, union dissidents lead Oshawa workers in a wildcat strike. News of the wildcat hits the committee hard, just when they need to be united. Dirty local politics is driving them apart.
They've got they got all the signs up. All the plants, but the battery is out. They're parading up and down with signs. So
I hope those guys are just as militant at Christmas as they are tonight. It really hurts us, but there's nothing, I'm not going to lecture anybody. There's nothing you can do now.
The wildcat is especially devastating for Phil Bennett. Oshawa is his personal fiefdom, and it's out of control.
You better get the word in there that they don't have a right to do that, and the day shift is supposed to go in tomorrow.
Well, the goddamn leadership should be out there tomorrow morning then.
Right.
They're up there now, and I'll tell you right now, Lord Jesus would never get them back in there.
We're talking about tomorrow morning.
I'm talking about tomorrow morning, John.
Drinking.
I'm talking about tomorrow morning.
Job. That's fucking all of us. Christ almighty, now what the hell's gonna happen when that gets to St. Catharines? I'm going here with a goddamn phone. But what am I gonna do if fucking St. Catharines goes now? Because of that horse shit.
And I don't give a fuck if they lined up, if I went down there tomorrow morning with John Sinclair and all of the district committee men that are elected, there's no fucking way that you get them back in that plant. I'm telling you that, John. I'm just being straight honest. Because some people have went around and bullshitted them and told them that in order to help us out here at this fucking table in Toronto, you gotta walk into the fucking plant. That's right. I feel worse than any person at this fucking table. I'm telling you that. Because for 2 months, I've been laying in that fucking bed upstairs, and I've been getting phone calls, and they had fucking union meetings that I could feel the fucking hide being tore off me 35 miles away to fuck me politically. And I tell you, they ain't fucking me. They're not fucking me. They're doing it to the membership, and they played with the membership.
Let's try and not tear each other apart here. It's a difficult situation. So I just say the leadership ought to try and get at least an announcement out that the plant should operate tomorrow until 12 o'clock.
I'll do that.
And the responsibility belongs back there in the local unions.
The
actions by the workers have seriously jeopardized negotiations in Toronto, and plant chairman Phil Bennett urged all workers to report for the morning shift.
But the plea has come too late. When Oshawa workers show up for the morning shift, bonfires are still burning, and the plant is shut tight. An hour before the strike is to be officially announced, White and Bieber have an angry exchange on the phone.
I'm trying to get a fucking agreement, my friend.
White has been waiting anxiously for this moment. Will the American Union revoke the right of the Canadians to strike GM?
Well, I mean, we're going to have a strike. I don't know where we're going to end up, but we're going to have a strike.
If Bieber is to act, he must do so now.
Well, what are you telling me this morning?
Pressed by White, Bieber issues a threat. He will revoke strike authorization if White's only issue is whether Canadian workers receive an hourly wage increase in each year of the contract.
That's not the only issue in this strike. Well, I mean, there's a number of other issues, and we won't be settling them before 12 o'clock today. I hear what you're saying, and you'll have to make a decision if that becomes the last issue, I guess. That's fine. Okay. Bye-bye.
God, he's an unhappy president. Hi. Morning.
Miraculously, White has been given a stay of execution. When he challenged Owen Bieber to shoot, Bieber didn't pull the trigger. He didn't cancel the strike. For now. In a few moments, Canada's auto workers will strike the world's largest corporation over a trade union principle, the right of workers to an ever-improving standard of living.
Try and get along. We got enough fights in this hotel this morning. At 12 o'clock today, we will be commencing the first Canadian strike against General Motors in 14 years. We got another offer from General Motors yesterday, which was almost identical to the offer that we'd received 10 days ago. Talked to Mr. Bieber this morning and acquainted him with the situation here. We have to find a solution to this problem in Canada, and we intend to do that.
What did he have to say to you?
Good morning, and how did you sleep?
Within 24 hours, the mood on the picket line in Oshawa turns nasty as vandalism erupts. In Toronto, Phil Bennett acts quickly to quell potential mob rule.
Should get a tow truck and tow that out of there. I don't want you towing that out of there, John. They got cameras and everything there. I mean, what the hell's wrong with them? They're crazy. Like dogs pissing on the Globe and Mail box. I want this thing put to bed. I don't want no fooling around anywhere, shape, or form. You understand me? I want everyone to stick together, be together, get together, and put this thing to bed. They harassed the women going in there this morning. I'm told that one woman was pregnant and they pushed her around. They've abusive language, and some of them have pulled their penis out. The women going by, I mean, they're crazy. They burnt a car, dragged the car up there and set fire to it in front of the gate. It's got to stop. It's got to stop now.
With GM's plants down, the stakes at the Royal York increase dramatically. White learns that company chairman Roger Smith has intervened directly in the talks. To slash his labor costs, the GM chairman is prepared to break the Canadians, and he orders Rod Andrew to so inform Bob White.
He just called me up about 5 minutes ago, and said that Roger Smith has said there is no fucking way they're going to put anything but lump sums in the second and third year. And that if this means 1970 all over again, then that's the fucking way it's going to be. And it's going to mean a lot of jobs, and it's going to mean a lot of investment in this country, but the corporation is not going to start down the fucking road of putting money in the paychecks, in base rate, on a cents per hour basis or a percentage basis in the second and third year of the agreement. There isn't any question this is tough stuff. And my guess is when Roger Smith says that today, he probably means that. I'm telling you guys, I mean, if I want you to know what's going on up there. I've been threatened today with the sale of the diesel plant, the closing of the St. Therese plant.
The committee is alarmed. They fear that Smith is taking a hard line because he fully expects Owen Bieber to deny Canadians their strike benefits.
Between Bieber and the Canadian sector and the strike fund?
I got that behind me with Andrew. I just told him, if you're hearing any rumors about that, don't worry about it. I got $10 million in my hip pocket from the Canadian Labour Movement, so the strike will stay on. That's not a problem. I don't have 10 cents, but we'll get to that.
Away from the committee, White and his inner circle are worried men. It has become clear to them that GM is counting on Owen Bieber to abort their strike.
They're relying on the big guy, you're gonna cancel it.
I think they're depending on somebody to take it out of their way.
Yep. Yeah. So relying on the cancellation, there's no question.
However, that's for another day. They say the party's not over until the last dance is played. Phil, what do you think, kid? Before I met you, I had no trouble, you know.
Yeah.
Ever since I met you, I've been up to shit over my ears. Turn out the lights, the party's over.
That night, White and his boys are forced to acknowledge a hard truth. They can't fight both Roger Smith and Owen Bieber at the same time. If they're going to win a made-in-Canada agreement, they'll have to make peace with the UAW president.
Turn up the lights. Party's over.
Them there caddies.
Get those expenses in quick, Alan. Hello.
To secure Owen Bieber's cooperation, the Canadians will have to back off on their key principle, symbolically at least. So White offers to camouflage the AIF, the annual improvement factor in the workers' hourly wage rate, by calling it something else.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm trying to do here. I was prepared to call it CFI. Canadian fucking increase.
Bieber agrees to White's scheme.
4.1% or 4.2%?
Right.
Wait, under this? No, the 38 cents.
Over the next few days, they hammer out a deal.
If we can unlock this, we can put some subcommittees, we can put the locals...
Although it is fundamentally different from the one signed by the Americans, Bieber, satisfied he can save face, agrees to sell it to Roger Smith. When he tells White it won't be easy, White reminds him that if the candidate White supported for union president had been elected, Bieber wouldn't have this problem.
Just think if Majerus had got that job, you wouldn't have to worry about this. Yeah, we don't have to talk about that. Okay, Tucker. Okay, go spin it.
Go.
He said, I'm just going to go in and cold turkey the bastard. Say the fucking Canadians are taking the $5.11 an hour. That's how they get it. Go to work.
Okay, so what he's talking about then?
Let's see what
he's got the 30-30.
We haven't got it. What the fuck are we shaking hands for? We haven't even got this by the committee.
Hey,
he's talking about 220.
You know.
The threat of a fight within the union has been averted, but negotiations remain stalled. Hoping White may not enjoy complete support inside the union, Rod Andrew requests a meeting with the whole committee to see if there are any weak links. 2 hours later, he leaves the room subdued. The committee is lined up behind White in an extraordinary display of solidarity.
Any breakthroughs?
No, not right now.
Ready, okay? Did well.
It's a very important meeting. I understand that. I got to do it. I believe it. I just want to give them a little fucking history. And I think we just got to hang tight for a few hours and see what happens. And we may have to play a little hardball later today. So I'm just proud of the committee, and let's just keep her going. Let's not panic. I love it. I love it because we're absolutely right. And when you see them fighting so hard on pennies in this agreement, do you not think they understand what this means to working people?
I didn't know you had that check.
Yeah.
Andrew, realizing the union can't be bullied into an agreement, gives White a new proposal to end the stalemate. But White isn't interested. He has his own president dealing directly with the corporation's top man in Detroit. He sees no percentage in negotiating with Andrew in Toronto.
Party's starting.
You got it.
That's why I ain't going
I
with
don't-
this. I'm not messing with this.
Oh, don't touch that. That's right. Oh, sir.
I ain't messing with this. I got the Presidente and the perfecta position.
Oh, my God.
He wanted in, we got him. Come on down!
Price is right. He doesn't.
Come on down!
I couldn't figure it out.
So I'm gonna go and have a shower and relax a little bit, freshen up, shave, get ready for an evening.
I would just say that I'm more hopeful tonight than I've ever been that I think we're going to break this logjam.
Feeling that Bieber is on the verge of getting him a settlement in Detroit, White asks the committee to stick around the hotel.
It stays in this room because I'm giving no indications.
None of these men know the contents of White's deal. Briefing them, White is purposefully vague. After 4 months in the dark, John Clout begins to rebel.
And I'm supposed to be on the master committee, and I don't know where we are any longer on the wage issue. Now, that's okay for a while, but the clock's fucking ticking. I know where my fucking membership is on a wage issue, and I'm not sure if the union's there anymore.
Let me tell you, John, if I get to where I want to get, I haven't sold out your membership. I think I know where your membership are, and you've expressed that. If I have, you guys will turn the fucking thing down, and the strike will continue.
That's right.
For 3 days, the Canadians think the deadlock will be resolved at any moment, but the word never comes. Then suddenly, White receives a call from Detroit, but it's not from Owen Bieber. A secret source inside the union gives White news that dramatically alters events. Owen Bieber is making moves behind White's back. Unable to sell the Canadian package that had been agreed upon, Bieber is now discussing a variation of his own American deal, without White's permission.
We're getting it put to us. But I've got all the information, and I'll blow it open if I have to.
He didn't even goddamn well try it on you.
I'm just going to let it fester a little bit today and see where it's coming from. My guess is I'm going to get a call soon from over there saying this is the best we can do. I'm going to say forget it.
White has been warned that Bieber will call to seek his approval for the deal Bieber has negotiated on his own.
I thought the big guy would have called by now.
Awful. I'm so disappointed in my own organization, boy.
Bob Owen's on line 3.
White listens to Bieber dispassionately. He gives no indication that he feels Bieber has deceived him.
Leave it with me. Thanks. Bye.
The deal Bieber has negotiated contains lump sum bonuses, the very thing White has vowed he would never bring to Canada.
Great guy, ain't he? Is that the final offer?
No, he said he's prepared to go to Roger. He thinks it's pretty close to the final offer.
Ah.
But once he goes, he'll probably lock it in pretty good.
Cornered, White goes up to the 13th floor. He has to act quickly or he'll be forced to accept the Detroit deal. He has one last card to play. Amazingly, it's Rod Andrew.
All right.
White believes that Andrew will allow him to keep hourly wage increases in Canada at a price.
But the problem is, and he's very simple, he's saying to me, you want the principal, you're going to pay. You ain't going to get both. I think the best thing is we get it down, and if it's a few pennies short of the committee, I just keep arguing with them. At least it's on the table. Nick, so as you guys understand, we really are talking about the end of the international union. Because Owen Bieber will go absolutely bananas. Absolutely bananas. You got no choice.
By accepting Andrew's deal, White knows he's playing a dangerous game. He's not only going behind Owen Bieber's back, he's testing the support of his membership. If he's to keep hourly wage increases in Canada, he'll have to settle for much less money than the membership is expecting, and that could incite rebellion.
Just, let's agree just to keep our temper here. Let's
sure.
get into the costs, but we just have to...
How come you're looking at me when you say that?
You're the guy I'm pointing to. And you can check on me too.
Hi, Ronnie. Good, how are you?
But one last surprise awaits Bob White. When he reaches for Andrew's new offer, it vanishes. GM is offering even less money than White has been led to expect.
I said, don't try the package on me like that. I mean, we're just not going to play the game here. Yep, I know what's happening.
Yes, sir.
No, sir, not today. Not today.
For sale today.
Not for sale today. So he said, your package is 50 cents an hour too high. I said, don't waste my time with the arguments.
But you're going to have a different opinion than Rod Andrew before you get out of this set of negotiations.
I'm not worried about it.
And you remember what I'm saying.
Phil, I'm not worried about it. I know what's happening. Yeah. I know what's happening, and I looked him in the eye, and he knows what's happening.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's not a problem for me. Yep. Okay, I'm going to a caucus at 8 o'clock. And when do you want to put that garbage on the table? It won't be tonight. So if you want to set it up for 10 o'clock in the morning, let's get the garbage on the table and then negotiations are finished. Okay. Bye. Okay.
Here we go, fellas. Everybody in the same barrel here.
His strategy in a shambles, White will now likely have to lead his members into a long, crippling strike, with the possibility of no financial support from Detroit and the probability of GM moving work out of the country, perhaps forever.
Don't mean nothing now, Sam. Take all them figures off the boards and don't mean a thing.
Yep. Hi. Sorry to keep you.
Down but not out, White comes back at Owen Bieber with the only weapon he now has left, his membership's willingness to fight to the finish.
And they're going to make us pay for the goddamn thing, and they can't do that today. Now, they may do it in Christmas, or they may do it a month from now, but they can't do it today. And when we get through this weekend, I'll tell you, when I lock that son of a bitch in, I know Roger Smith is tough, and I know he's going to move some jobs, but I'm going to lock that son of a bitch in this weekend. And I told Andrew across the table, when I lock it in, it'll stay for 6 weeks without us even having a meeting. The GM can't win this. I'll wrap the fucking Canadian flag around me. These multinational corporation with Roger Smith and 146% increase. I've told them all of that. And when I get through, the membership will sit. Now, we'll pay a hell of a price for that. We will pay a hell of a price for that. But we are not going down the road, and I'd love to look Roger Smith in the eye, we're not going down the road for nickels and dimes. And as of 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, I will have Andrew at the bargaining table here and tell him these negotiations are finished. Okay, thanks.
Very good.
That's this away. These guys.
White was quiet this time.
You're fucking right, he won't tell him White's quiet.
Good stuff. Let's get on. All right.
You guys are going to find out, my friends. They ain't fucking around. Now, I tried everything. The sand shifted a few times. People started to play around, and I played it all both ends and up the middle and around sideways. And I thought I had something moving, and I did. Not enough. And then people started to shift all over the place again. And I said, I'm all through fucking around with you guys that we reach in the hat, we get a rabbit, and then we just get the rabbit, there's another hat over here with another rabbit in it. So we're not going to play that game. I don't care about your costs. I don't care about your numbers. The facts are these plants are down, and General Motors doesn't understand they're going to fucking stay down. And I just told Owen Bieber that I may get gray hair, but I'll get gray hair fighting the goddamn corporation before I'll get gray hair going to those ratification meetings and have the membership cut me up. It ain't going to work that way. I got no guarantees. You guys know this isn't Joe's Garage, I keep saying. This is a tough motherfucking company we got. And they are mean fuckers. And they're gonna grind. Make no mistake about it. Make no mistake about it. This is gonna be a classic in my judgment. And we've got to make sure the membership are with us. I just told Owen, same as I told Andrew, when I wrapped that Canadian flag, and I talk about Roger Smith's 146% and all the money you guys have made and the workers gave up. If I can't win that argument with the workers, I won't be the director of the union. You'll have your settlement. My guess is we'll win that.
With the union and the company now totally polarized, the consequences of a long strike sink in. For the membership, weeks, perhaps months on the picket line. For the company, idle plants and millions of dollars a day in lost production. In the end, it's become a game of chicken. At the last moment, in a surprising turnaround, GM backs down. Roger Smith flinches. Bob White doesn't. Early on the 8th day of the strike, Andrew calls, agreeing to White's terms.
Well, explain it to me. Can you talk?
GM offers a special Canadian increase in the hourly wage rate.
But the first year. Mm-hmm. Okay. And where is he in the third? Right. Is he going to get them? Yeah, okay. That's where you and I are at. Fucking right, we're going to break this thing, man. I know it. We're going to break this sucker today.
They fucking only mean business now. They know that for sure. Yeah, they really do now. I mean, they like to blow your fucking brains out. No doubt about it. But they fucking hate you, I'll tell you. Man.
Well, I'm not here to get people like me.
No, I'm just saying that.
Respect is what you get.
With the deal almost in place, White has one last battle ahead of him. He has to sell the package to the committee. Knowing it'll be a hard sell, he steels himself for the moment.
I need a shower in.
Yeah. I do too.
Freshen up and shave before
I need
starting
about 5
this
bottles
debate.
of Coke to get some fucking energy.
We're gonna have to reach for the next couple of days, guys.
White may be on the verge of making a bold and historic declaration, namely that Canadian workers are entitled to determine their own future.
This is not obedience school. It might be a while.
But as he enters the caucus room, White knows that before he can enjoy his victory, he must first prove to the committee members that he didn't sell them out to achieve it.
Christ, where'd they all come from? And I have no hesitation in saying to anybody in this room that you may not like the amounts, and we can fight about that, but there's no fucking question that that's a major, major move in terms of the whole question of lump sums and whether or not we're going to get money in the workers' paychecks on an ongoing basis.
While White has been negotiating on his own, committee members have been nursing their expectations. Bottom line, they want to see a traditional 3% increase in the hourly rate. White is bringing them only 2 1/4. To sell the deal, he'll have to remind these men of the harsh economic realities of the 1980s.
That might have been General Motors' last offer, but I don't believe it. I don't believe it's their last offer.
Trust me, Doc.
Well, I'd like to do that too, because I'll likely be with those pensioners in another year from now, and I'm getting my gut feeling. I don't like to give up that 3%. I've seen it for years and years and years, and I don't want my kid or my son-in-laws or the other guys having to give it up. And I said at the Canadian economic thing that through the years we've been inched and inched and inched, and if you took everything we've been inched through the goddamn years, we'd have had a strike issue all by itself.
I'm not attacking anybody. I understand that. I understand how you feel about that. But if anybody asks me the question, is that GM's bottom line? Can you hang on and get 3, 3, and 3? My friends, the answer is no.
Well, I say, right, Bob, I appreciate what you've done, but I think that's got to be there. 3 and 3 and 3 all the way through. So my vote right now is no.
I'm opposed to it. There's too much hanging out there.
Well, we're in one fuck of a box with this fucking thing, I can tell you that.
At the end of the dissidents' roll call is John Clout.
Geez, I don't know. It seems to me we got the fucking driver's seat here. They're in big fucking trouble.
He may lack White's polish, but nevertheless, he's the only committee member capable of successfully mounting a challenge to the UAW leader. To carry the committee, White will have to neutralize John Clout.
But that goddamn thing has got to change from what it is. And we're betraying the goddamn membership if we buy this bag of shit for what's left and end up terminating the goddamn strike short there. 5 fucking days and we want to run for the fucking hills? Jesus, jumping Christ, I don't know what's going on here. There sure is a lot of fucking guys swimming the other way.
Well, let me say something, John. You and I might as well get into it. It's one thing for you to tell me I didn't do good enough, but don't ever fucking tell me that I'm betraying the membership with this proposal. Yes, you are. So as you and I get it off on the right foot from day one. I come to this committee with this recommendation, and I ain't betraying the membership to recommend it. Now, you and I may disagree on what's in it, but don't ever fucking accuse me of betraying the membership, my friend, because that's bullshit. Let's start now. Now, let's look at reality. John Clout's plant. Do you think you're not going to lose fucking jobs if we keep out another month? You know the answer to that. I've been told the answer to that. You know it, John. And let's look at what Rod Andrew does tomorrow. He goes to the press and he says, Bob White said a Canadian agreement. What do you want? Upfront money, more money up front than there is in the U.S. agreement. No lump sums in this agreement. Cost of living protection, a new Canadian cola formula, better than anything else in the rest of the Canadian industry. 74 cents, no goddamn money than the Americans. And you think the telegrams are going to come in from the American worker saying, keep right on, guys, you guys are right on the fucking money? Or from your membership? If that's a betrayal of your membership, John, I'll go to you to the membership meeting. It's a betrayal of the membership for us to keep them on strike for another month. And then go back to them and say, you know what we did, guys? We had them by the fucking balls, and we moved this second-year increase up to 3%. And
and we got you another 15 cents. Man, we are sure fucking tough.
You want to tell the membership that they can't get what they had for goddamn 30 goddamn years, for Christ's sakes? They can't get goddamn 3% with the money that this corporation's making after they've been on the street for a week? You might tell them that after you've been on the street for 2 goddamn months. You might even convince me of that. But you ain't convincing me that it ain't there within the goddamn week. And on that, I'm saying that that's a betrayal of the goddamn membership. And I'm not telling you you're betraying the membership or this goddamn committee. I'm saying I am if I goddamn go back and recommend that shit. Because we put them on the goddamn street.
But just listen to me, my friend, and it's not, I'm not Rod Andrew telling you. I rolled the dice with Iacocca and we got $1.15. And that cost us an engine plant, and make no mistake about it. I don't want to roll the dice for another 10 and 20 cents here, John, and some jobs. I want to say to the corporation that we fought you on a principle. We were right. We found some common ground. We got some money. Let's get back to work and let's understand that this makes sense economically. And let's talk about the future.
Well, you ain't changed my mind on it.
All in favor of accepting this proposal and getting it off dead center, and raise your right hand.
After 5 hours of bitter debate,
Opposed?
White prevails.
Carried.
UAW strike talk. Bob White, the union's Canadian director, says the union agreed tonight to a formula that will allow what he calls serious negotiations. He also says he's optimistic for the first time since the strike began a week ago. Bargaining will resume tomorrow morning.
2 days later, White and Andrew meet across the master table for the last time.
This is an outstanding new plan. It's innovative. It's truly Canadian.
After a grueling 4-month fight, Andrew, admitting GM's defeat on the key principle of the '84 talks, formally offers White what he's fought so hard to win.
In response to the concerns indicated by the UAW, lump sum payments are deleted in this offer, and ongoing increases are provided, with a 25-cent per hour special Canadian adjustment, SCA.
On October 29th, Oshawa auto workers like Brian Blakeney arrive early at the Civic Center to vote yes or no on the new contract.
You're a hell of a crowd, boy.
White, concerned that local union politics may mar the ratification vote, comes to Oshawa to oversee the proceedings personally.
So I say, guys, I understand the local politics. I've been around it for many, many years. But let's not play it at this meeting. Let's tell the membership where it's at. You either recommend it up, or you recommend you stay on strike and you stand according to that issue.
In 1984, GM management has argued that workers' interests and the company's interests are one and the same. Bob White has disagreed. On that very principle, he has challenged both the world's largest industrial corporation and America's most powerful union. It appears as though he has won. It remains to be seen, however, whether workers like Brian Blakeney will eventually have to pay a price. Whether GM, confronted by traditional unionism, will continue to make massive new investments in Canada. And whether Canadian auto workers will now have to compete directly with their American brothers for jobs.
Let's go back to work.
All right. UAW? For now, back at the Royal York, Bob White savors his victory as ratification returns flood in from across the country.
85.7,
trade
we just got the
71.3.
transmission plant Windsor.
85?
Yeah, we're running at 87.5.
87.5%.
I knew we'd do it, man.
No problem. Okay, well, we're kind of waiting for him, eh? White's waiting for him right now.
Let's call the local. Let's call 1163.
Okay, fine. Okay, John, thanks.
Nick? St. Catharines production, 89.9. Skilled trades, 91.7.
Holy.
Where was John Clark?
91?
I told you I could sell a bag of shit, he says.
So
He sure did.
So he'll be calling your guy, so you better call him. Okay, John. Bye-bye.
Okay, that's fine. You phone the numbers in as soon as you get them. Thank you.
St. Therese, he says, no question, will run 75%.
Who's that, Johnny you talking
That's
to?
Pierre Lepage. He says, a little rough, but no question, will run 75%. Get trim. Get Moran. We're gone. Call Wendy, tell him I'm on my way up.
Before meeting the press, White calls Rod Andrew to tell him the strike is over.
Hello. Why don't you go out and buy yourself a double dip of ice cream? Yeah. Okay. All right, where you go? Just while you're doing it, make sure you put that PEL in 3 years instead of 5. Okay. Talk to you.
All right. Congratulations.
Oh, man.
Huh? You're tough, but you're good. God damn.
Tough but steady.
All right.
The membership has overwhelmingly approved the new contract. 12 days after he called it, White officially ends the strike. And 36,000 Canadian auto workers return to their jobs on General Motors assembly lines.
Well, well. I feel good, man. I feel good. Gotta go and call my mother. She called me Saturday night and I forgot all about it.
What do you got, Sim?
Within 6 weeks of the conclusion of the 1984 contract talks, divorce proceedings between the U.S. and Canadian sections of the UAW begin. The grounds, irreconcilable differences. The action is not contested.